Hello everyone. In our last classes, we talked about compound interest, and today we'll be doing the sums of those that concept. Okay. So the first question: the difference between the final amount and the original principal is known as. It can be both simple interest and compound interest, depending upon which scenario are we talking about. So the final amount is A, and the original principal is P, right? So if I subtract these two, I get interest. Now that can be simple as well as compound. If you are talking about the cases of where the interest amount does not change, we are talking about simple interest. And if it changes with every subsequent time interval, then it becomes a compound interest. Any doubts? In the formula A equals to P plus I, A is known as the, it cannot be simple interest, it cannot be principal, it cannot be compound interest. There is only one thing, that is. So just rule out the options. There is, it may not be completely correct, but in this case, I don't have any other option. In general, A is known as the amount that we have to pay. Agree? Question number 3. The principal goes on changing every year is known as compound interest. The principal that goes on changing every year in compound interest. Question number 4. We have principal, we have rate, we have n. We have to find out amount and compounding. If nothing is said, it's annual. So the compounding value is 1.05. To find the amount, it is P1 plus I upon n. Principal 1000. 1.05 4 times. 1215.0. So this is correct. But since in our option we also have none of these, so the compound interest may vary in case. So that's why we also check for compound interest. This is 1215.50. So your compound interest will be 215.50. So 0.50 we can adjust. Any doubts? Clear? Next. Question number 5. Rupees 10,000 is invested at an annual rate of interest of 10% amount after 2 years at annual compounding. If the rate of interest is 10%, compounding value will be 1.1. Amount will be 10,000 into 1.1 raised to the power 2. 12,100. Option B. Yes? All clear? 6. Rupees 100 will become after 20 years at 5% per annum compound interest calculated annually. 5% annual calculation compounding value will be 1.05. Amount is principal into compounding value raised to the power number of years. Calculate. We are getting 265.32. Yes. Which one is closer? B or C? C is closer, so C is our answer. Clear? Clear? 7. Rupees 7,500 is invested at 5% compound interest for 2 years. The interest for the second year. 5%, so again the compounding value is 1.05. Amount, principal into 1.05 to the power 2. Amount is 8268.75. But what we need? We need the interest. Compound interest is amount minus principal. So subtract 7,500. 768.75. Options are wrong. Answer will be 768.75. Read the question again. Options are not wrong. For the second year, not for 2 years. So this concept, the entire way is. For the first year, what will be the amount? 7,500 into 1.05. For the first year, the amount becomes 7,875. So for the second year, principal is 7,875. Now we find out the interest. 7,875 into 5%. Yes, 393.75. Option. Clear? Understood? So this question taught us one thing, all of us. Read the question very carefully. Question number 8. The compound interest on rupees 16,000 for 1.5 year at 10% per annum payable half yearly. If it is half yearly, 1.5 year means how many installments? 6 months. So there are 3 installments. Rate 10% is for the entire year. Half yearly will consider 5%. Compounding value 1.05. Amount 16,000 into 1.05 raised to the power 3. And for compound interest, will then subtract principal. So 1.05, 16,000. Amount is 18,522. If I subtract 16,000, I get 2,522. Any doubts? Amount was 18,000 to 520. Okay. So compound interest came out to this. Clear? 9. The compound interest on half yearly rests on rupees 10,000. The rate for the first and second year being 6% and for the third year 9%. So in this case 10,000. Usually if it's the same rate we apply that 3 times. But this year for the first year 6%, so 1.06. Second year again 6%, so 1.06. For the third year 9%, so 1.09. So 6% becomes 3%. So 1.03. 2 years, so 4 installments. Third year 9%. 9% becomes 4.5%. Agreed? So this will be 1.045. How many times? 2 times. Agree? What's the amount? 12290.8375. That's the amount. So for compound interest, subtract 10,000. 2290.8 something. So option A is correct. Any doubts? Any doubts? Sure. Next 10. The compound interest on rupees 1,000. See, compound interest formula, we also had this one. P1 plus I upon n minus 1. We can also use this particular formula. So for rupees 1,000 at 6% compounded semi-annually, that's half yearly for 6 years. So they've already given us the value, right? So in this case, we don't need to use the calculator, use this value. Principal 1,000, the value is 1.42576 minus 1. 425.76. It's right, it's wrong, doesn't matter. Use this. Understood? Clear? So 11. Calculate the compound interest on rupees 4,000 for 1.5 years at 10% per annum. Compounded half yearly. Half yearly is again twice a year. So 1.5 year, the installment will be thrice. 10%, it becomes 5%. Yes? So compound interest, 4,000 principal, 1.05 raised to the power 3 minus 1. 630.5. 9. ठीक है. Any doubts in till question number 11? All clear? Sure. कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट का डायरेक्ट फॉर्मूला लगा दी. आप नॉर्मली अमाउंट निकालो, नहीं तो माइनस 4,000 करके भी कर सकते हैं. ये कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट वाला फॉर्मूला जो बढ़िया लगे. हाँ, we have two formulas. For compound interest, we can do amount minus principal. And for amount, we'll use the formula P 1 plus I to the power n. Or directly you can apply the formula P 1 plus I to the power n minus 1. Then you multiply the principal. Any which way. Clear? Try. I am writing it out because I'm explaining right and we are discussing the answers. But for you, only use calculator, don't use a pen. That is what you should be trained. Done. For 12. Rupees 2,000 is invested at annual rate of interest of 10% per annum. The amount after 2 years, if compounding is done half yearly, amount, right? So amount P1 plus I to the power n. Principal 2,000. Rate will be 1.05 because it's half yearly. 2 years for half yearly, it will be 4 times. 2431.01. So 2431 will go. Clear? Clear? 13. The compound interest on rupees 40,000 at 10% per annum for 1 year when the interest is payable quarterly. Quarterly means once a year we'll have 4 installments. Quarterly means quarter, that means 4. So 1 year, that means number of installment is 4, 10%. So 10 divided by 4, 2.5. 2.5% will be the rate that we are considering. So what will be the compounding value? 1 plus 2.5 upon 100? 1.025. So compound interest, the formula principal 1.025 raised to the power 4 minus 1. How much? 4152.5 and 4,152.5. Any doubts? Any doubts? Huh? Slow down. ठीक है. 40. The compound interest on rupees 4,000 for 6 months. 6 months and payable quarterly. In 6 months, how many quarters will come? 2. Quarter means 12 months, 4 parts. So 3 months. 6 months means twice a quarter. 2 quarters. So n will be 2. Rate 12% is for the entire year. No doubt we have n equal to 2, but we'll consider the rate for the entire year 12. So for 1 quarter, it will be 12 by 4, 3%. So 4,000. 1.03 raised power 2 minus 1. 243.6. Option A. Any doubts? Clear? Everyone clear? 15. Rupees 3,000 is invested at annual rate of interest of 10% per annum. The amount after 2 years, if compounding is done quarterly, 10%, 10 by 4 will be 2.5%. So my compounding value will be 1.025. 2 years mean 4 quarterly installment. 8 quarterly installment, 1 year, 4 quarter, 2 year, 8 quarters. So what we want is the amount P compounding value raised to the power A. 3655.20. ठीक है सर? 3655.20. चैट कर रहा है जैसे कौन कैलकुलेटर बता रहा है. देख रहा कुछ नहीं. Option C is our correct answer. Everyone? 16. The compound interest on rupees 1,000 for 10 years at 4% per annum, the interest being paid quarterly. Quarterly, 4% will become 1%. 1 year, 4 installments. 10 years, 40. N will be 40. Compound interest, principal. Compounding value 1.01 raised power 40 minus 1. 488.86, 489. None of these means. And if the difference is smaller, we don't go for none of this. That much we need to adjust. We cannot be so stubborn. 17. Rupees 4,000 is invested at annual rate of interest of 5%. The amount after 2 years, if compounding is done monthly. So after 2 years, so how many installments are we talking about? 24, 2 years. 1 year, 12 installment, 2 years, 24. Rate is 5%, but we'll take it as 5 by 12%. Compounding value 1.0041 something something. So I'll calculate it in, then raise to the power 24. So directly multiply. What are we doing? We'll calculate 5 divided by 12. That's my monthly rate. To convert it into decimal, I'll again divide it by 100. I'll add 1. This is my compounding value. Now straight away we'll multiply it by 12. देखना? Again 5 divided by 12. 0.4166. That's my monthly rate. Now that is R. I have to convert it into decimal. See, it is decimal, does not mean it has actually been converted in. So first my rate is 5 by 12. पहले 5 को 12 से डिवाइड करा, वो मेरा मंथली रेट है. वो लग रहा है डेसिमल में है 0.4166, लेकिन वो है मेरा रेट. हम लोग अब कंपाउंडिंग वैल्यू के लिए क्या करता है, 1 प्लस आर बाई 100 करता है ना. तो मेरा रेट आ गया 5 बाई 12 कैलकुलेटर में. फिर उसको 100 से डिवाइड करो, फिर +1 करो, वो है आपका कंपाउंडिंग वैल्यू. 1.0041. कुछ मत करो, ऐसे रहने दो. ठीक है, सीधा इंटू दबाओ और उसको 24 बार मल्टीप्लाई करो. वही हम बोला, बस इंग्लिश में बोला. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. अमाउंट चाहिए नहीं, अमाउंट चाहिए इंटू 4,000. आंसर, what's the answer? 4419.76. डी है ना ऑप्शन में, तो होगा ही. डन. एनी डाउट? 18. The partners A and B together lent rupees 3,903 rupees at 4% per annum interest compounded annually. After a span of 3 years, A gets the same amount as B gets after 5 years. Share of A in rupees 3,903 would have been. So rupees 3,903 is invested at 2 different options. Suppose A invests rupees X, तो B कितना करेगा बचा हुआ? रुपीज 3,903 minus X. एक दोनों का रेट 4-4% है, पर एक लगा रहा है 3 साल के लिए और एक लगा रहा है 5 साल. सपोज ये मेरा ए है. ए का अगर प्रिंसिपल एक्स है, रेट 4% है, टाइम 3 साल. बी के लिए बचा हुआ अमाउंट होगा रेट 4%, अमाउंट 5 ईयर्स के लिए. दोनों का अमाउंट सेम है. ठीक है, तो ए कितना इन्वेस्ट करेगा? कॉमन सेंस, ये 3 साल में जो कमा रहा है वो 5 साल में सेम कमा रहा है, तो ए का शेयर ज्यादा होगा. हाँ या ना? अग्री करो. तो ए तो आंसर मेरा हो ही नहीं सकता. डू यू अग्री? हाँ या ना? तो ए को तो हटा ही देते हैं. अब बी सी डी बचता है, ट्रायल एंड एरर कर सकते हैं हम लोग. हाँ या ना? अगर ये है 2,280 रुपया, उसका कितना होगा? 1623. कैलकुलेट द अमाउंट, देखो सेम आ रहा है क्या? 2564.68. और उसमें 1974 आ रहा है, तो सेम तो नहीं आ रहा. हाँ ना? एक सेकंड, एक मिनट. The time will be here 7 years, and here it will be 9 years. Now try. Sorry. Now try. 1.04. 3000.32. Second one. 2310. Then 2028. 1875. 2668.70. Same are. Yes. So option C is correct. क्या? 19. Rupees 2000 is invested at 10% per annum. What is the amount after 2 years if compounding is done annually, semi-annually, quarterly, monthly? See, let's calculate for a year which does not have the same option. For the first one, 2420 is same. For the second one, 2431 is same. The fourth one, monthly, is different for everyone. See, let's only calculate monthly. Whichever matches, that's our answer. Why will we calculate so many? हाँ. नहीं. हाँ. हाँ. But two are very close. That's anyone, quarterly or monthly. Let's calculate monthly. So for monthly, R will be 10/12. Compounding value will be 1 plus R upon 100. 1.00833 something. 2 years. So monthly, how many installments? 24. Now raise this to the power 24. 2440.78. Yes or no? Option B. Agree? So option B is correct. If everyone would have been sane, I would have calculated. अब इसमें अगर ऐसा होता कि मेरा जो रेट है, जैसे आपका पहला 2700 है और लास्ट वाला 2716 रुपीज है और मेरा आंसर दोनों के बीच का कुछ आता, तो मैं एक और कैलकुलेट करती, तब मैं डायरेक्टली मार्क नहीं करते. पर ये तो ऑलमोस्ट सेम ही आया पूरा. समझ आया? 20. Amount 1000, number of years 2, rate 6%, compounded half yearly. So rate will become 3%, time will be 4 years. We have to find out principal. 1000 principal 1.03 raised power 4. So we have to divide 1000 by 1.03 raised power 4. So use m plus thing. 8888.48. Yes or no? Which one is closer? A. 2 rupee, 1.57 rupees difference. That's okay. A. नहीं, 1-2 रुपया 5-7 रुपए की थोड़ा एडजस्टिंग होना पड़ता. डन। वही बोला 5-7 रुपए जितना कम डिफरेंस के लिए मत। 21। Amount is 10,000, number of years 18, rate 4%, nothing is mentioned, so it's annual. Principal amount divided by compounding value to the power number of installments. Clean your calculator first, remember. $4936.28 आंसर। वाई भी 36 रुपए का गैप है। डी 5-7 रुपए तक समझ आ रहा था, ऐसे 40-40 रुपए तक नहीं जाऊंगा। तो दिन वाला 100 रुपए तो क्या ही जा रहा है, 2 समोसा कम से ही हुआ। डन। 22। On what sum will the compound interest at 5% per annum for 2 years compounded annually will be there? In this case, you can go for trial and error also, or we can use the compound interest formula also. Compound interest formula, principal 1 plus I power n minus 1. So if I want to find out the principal, 1640 divided by 1.05 power 2 minus 1. Answer. Exact 16,000 we are getting. Any problem? Any problem? 23. Compound interest on a certain sum for 2 years is 41.60 for 2 years. And the simple interest is 40 rupees. Then we have to find out the sum. See, for the first year, if the simple interest is rupees 40, and for the second year, it is more. Why? Because you have calculated interest on the first year's interest also. That means the difference 1.60 is 1. See, 40 rupees तो should have been there. पहला साल अगर 40 रुपया तो सेकंड ईयर 40 से कम तो नहीं होगा। कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट में बढ़ जाता है, क्यों? क्योंकि हम लोग प्रिंसिपल पे तो इंटरेस्ट कैलकुलेट करता ही है। फर्स्ट ईयर R% ऑफ प्रिंसिपल किया, इसलिए 40 रुपया मिला। जब हम लोग सेकेंड ईयर जाता है तो हम लोग R% ऑफ प्रिंसिपल तो लेता ही है, साथ में R% ऑफ फर्स्ट ईयर इंटरेस्ट भी लेता है। आया ना, इसीलिए हम लोग को एक्स्ट्रा रुपया मिलता है। एक्स्ट्रा कितना रुपया मिल रहा है? 41.60 मिल रहा है। क्यों? क्योंकि हम लोग इस 40 रुपया पे भी रेट कैलकुलेट किया। तो 40 रुपया का कितना परसेंट करने से 1.60 मिलता है हम लोग? कैसे निकालेंगे? दो तरीका है बच्चा वाला। R% ऑफ 40 इज 1.60, हाँ या ना? नहीं तो 1.60 ही तो रेट निकालना है। तो 1.60 डिवाइडेड बाई 40 इंटू 100 कर दो। 1.6 डिवाइडेड बाई 40 इंटू 100, 4%। आया ना? तो रेट हम लोग को मिल गया। आर रेट इज 4%। डायरेक्टली भी ढूंढ सकता था, नहीं तो 1.60 बाई 40 इंटू 100, ठीक, विचेवर में। अब रेट 4% मिल गया। कौन सा प्रिंसिपल पे 4% रेट लगाने से एक साल में 40 रुपया मिलता है भाई? 500 पे लगाने से तो 20% मिल रहा है। 400 पे लगाने से 16 रुपया मिल रहा है। ओ ठीक है, सॉरी, फॉर 2 years। तो एक साल का 20 रुपया होगा। ये सिंपल इंटरेस्ट 2 साल का 40 है, तो एक साल का 20 रुपया होगा। तो एक साल के लिए हम लोग को 20 रुपया लेना है, या 2 साल के लिए 40 रुपया लेना, कोई सा भी। तो पहला साल अगर करता है तो कितना आ रहा है इंटरेस्ट 2 साल के लिए? बोलो, 40 आ ही रहे हैं। नहीं, यहाँ पे कुछ wrong। वो एक साल लेके किया। ये सिंपल इंटरेस्ट भी तो 2 साल का है। अगर 2 साल का सिंपल इंटरेस्ट 40 रुपया है, तो एक साल का सो सिंपल इंटरेस्ट तो 20 रुपए ही है। तो सेकेंड ईयर 41.60 कितना एक्स्ट्रा आ रहा है? 21.60 आ रहा है, हाँ या ना? तो 20 रुपया तो सिंपल इंटरेस्ट का बनता ही था, एक्स्ट्रा 1.6 रुपीज आ रहा है, किसके वजह से? 20 रुपया के वजह से। तो 1.60 डिवाइडेड बाई 20 इंटू 100 होगा, 8% हो जाएगा। तो मेरा रेट 8% है, हाँ या ना? तो अब 8% के हिसाब से कौन सा प्रिंसिपल आपको एक साल में 20 रुपया इंटरेस्ट दे रहा है? 250 दे। 250 का अगर 8% आप निकालता है तो 20 रुपया आता है। समझ आए? हम एक साल का लिखेगा। क्लियर है? 24। ये तो फॉर्मूला हम लोगों के पास, बोलो फॉर्मूला। डिफरेंस इज इक्वल टू प्रिंसिपल इज इक्वल टू डी इंटू 100 का स्क्वायर बाय आर स्क्वायर, हाँ या ना? फॉर 2 साल, 2 साल के लिए अगला डिफरेंस दे दिया हम लोगों को 144। 100 स्क्वायर रेट कितना है? 15। कैलकुलेट कर लीजिए। 5400 पूरा सुंदर से मैच किया, हाँ ना? बताओ। 25 सेम है। लगाइए फॉर्मूला। प्रिंसिपल डिफरेंस इंटू 100 का स्क्वायर बाय रेट का स्क्वायर। 12,000। 12,000। एनी डाउट? 26। We just did this sum. For 2 years, the compound interest is 41 and the simple interest is 40. Difference is 1 rupees. Yes, so we can use that method also. The difference is rupees 1. We could have used that in the same sum also, no? Once. Here also we could have used this rather than doing so many things. The principal will be difference is how much? 1.60 into 100 square upon R. We don't have the rate. R, so we had to calculate. Here. Difference is 1 rupee, 100 square upon R square. And the difference is rupees 1. Principal is? नहीं, ओके सेम ही करना पड़ेगा हम लोग को। R% of 20 is rupees 1 और 1 divided by 20 into 100%, 5%। फॉर्मूला नहीं लगेगा क्योंकि रेट भी गायब है, प्रिंसिपल भी गायब है। ठीक है, प्रिंसिपल या डिफरेंस में से कोई एक देता तो हम लोग वो फॉर्मूला लगाते, ट्रायल एंड एरर कर सकते। 27। A sum of money put at compound interest amount to rupees 2,205 in 2 years and to rupees 2,315.25 in 3 years. The interest percent. How should we calculate? If for 2 years it is no, we don't need that. For 2 years the amount we know. So for the third year that amount becomes the principal. Ayana. So for the third year, my principal is 2,205. My amount is 2,315.25. So my compound interest is this much. Yes. What we need to calculate? R% of principal is itna or directly 110.25 upon 2,205 into 100. 5%. ठीक है? Yes. कोई दिक्कत? पक्का? 28. If the sum of money when compounded annually becomes rupees 1,140 in 2 years and 1,710 in 3 years, then the rate similar. First of all, compound interest 570. That's my compound interest. Now this is calculated on the previous year's amount into 100. 50%. हाँ, At what rate percent will a sum double itself in 7 years? What was the formula for double? 72 by R. That gives us the time, and the time is given us already 7 years. So what will be the rate? 10.28. Since we don't have the option, none of these, so see. Done? Done? What was the formula for triple? 114 by R. For a 10-year deposit, what interest rate payable annually is equivalent to 5%? This is actually some of our next concept, equivalent effective rate of interest. So right now, let's drop this. We'll go do this back question again when we get the chance for. Okay. Or in the right now, if you want to do without using the formula, what do we need actually? Please understand. What interest rate payable annually will give us the same interest as 5% payable quarterly on a certain principal. Let's take the principal to be rupee 1, rupee 2, rupee 100, anything. Let the principal be rupees 100. Yes. If I calculate 5% for 10 years, yes, find out the amount. Obviously compound interest. Quarterly, remember, this is quarterly. What's the amount? 164.36. Now, again, the principal is 100. Yes. Assume the rate and we have to do the sum. Yes or no? Suppose rate is 5.1% annual for 10 years. Do you get the same rate? Do you get the same rate? Same amount for 10 years. 164.36. Same RN. 1.051 10 times. Similar. 164 is same, then if one is getting 0.3, one is getting 0.4. That's similar. So 5.1% is giving us the same rate. Hana. Yes. Suppose instead of 10 years, the question said 10 years. Let's try for 1 year. Let's try for 1 year. Find out the rate in case of quarterly for 1 year. What's the amount? First case was the amount. 105.09. Now let's calculate for 5.1% annually. 105.1. Wasn't it same? So in this case, whenever you're finding an equivalent rate, like you have a half yearly rate, you want the same annual rate. You have a quarterly rate, in this case as in, you want the same annual rate, right? So rather than, in this particular case, what is going on? Suppose my principal is 100,000, 1 lakh, 1 crore, doesn't matter. Suppose I am paying a certain interest 5% quarterly. I'm paying a certain amount of interest. Principal I have to pay, but I'm paying a certain amount of interest. But I don't want the trouble of paying 4 times a year. So I'll say that I don't want this Jamila. Let's make it once a year. But the person who was given with the loan won't agree. Why? Because I said I'll be at a loss. I said no. I'll give you the same amount of interest. Then he said for that I have to change the rate. So change the rate accordingly, which gives you the exact same interest when I would have calculated it and I would have paid you quarter. So that if you ask, I won't pay. If I settle for less, he won't agree. So I want the exact same interest. So in this particular case, whether I pay him 5% quarterly or I pay him 5.1% annually. The person is going to get the same amount, the same interest. So we both can agree on that. The only thing that changes is the trouble of paying again and again and again. So this concept is known as effective rate of interest. There is a formula, we'll talk about that. So effective rate of interest क्या हो गया कि कोई एक रेट आप हाफ ईयरली या क्वार्टरली या मंथली दे बार बार दे उससे जो इंटरेस्ट पैदा हो रहा है वो सेम इंटरेस्ट आप एक एनुअल रेट लगाने से भी पे कर सकता है रेट ही तो बढ़ाना है ऑब्वियसली तो रेट बढ़ा दो बढ़ा के उसको एनुअल कर दो ताकि एक ही साल में एक ही बार मुंह देखना पड़े हमको बार बार नहीं देखना पड़े इंटरेस्ट चेंज नहीं होगा अमाउंट चेंज नहीं होगा टाइम ड्यूरेशन चेंज नहीं होगा खाली एक साल में आप कितना बार मिलने वाले बस वो चेंज इसको बोलता है इफेक्टिव रेट सो फॉर 5% इंटरेस्ट पेबल क्वार्टरली द इफेक्टिव रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट इज 5.1% एनुअल इफेक्टिव रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एनुअल होता है और जिसके लिए आप निकाल रहे हैं वो होता है नॉमिनल रेट तो नॉमिनल 5% है वो या तो हाफ ईयरली होगा या तो क्वार्टरली होगा या तो मंथली होगा जिसको मैं एनुअल में कन्वर्ट कर रही हूँ कीपिंग द सेम अमाउंट सेम इंटरेस्ट बस रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बढ़ा उतना ही तो करना है समझ आए तो ये हम लोग ट्रायल एंड एरर से भी कर सकते हैं इसमें दो चीज का फर्क नहीं पड़ता आपका क्या प्रिंसिपल है डजंट मैटर whatever suppose you have taken 100 you take 1 rupee also you take 200 rupee 1 crore rupee remains the same and as we saw whether you calculate it for 1 year or you calculate it for 10 years it remains the same so it doesn't matter so what we do is we calculate it on rupee 1 for 1 year कैलकुलेशन बहुत छोटा होगा तो मेरा एक बार में निकल जाएगा यही आप 1 रुपया के लिए निकालो 100 हटा दो लेट्स कैलकुलेट इट फॉर 1 रुपी 1 रुपया के लिए निकालो at rupee 1 if you find calculate 5% for 1 year 1.0509 हाँ या ना and here it's automatically 1.051 same so it doesn't matter whether I'm finding it out for 100 rupee or 1 crore rupee or I'm finding it for 1 year or 2 year or 10 year it still give me the same answer. Yes, so effective rate of interest, that's our next topic. We'll calculate it for 1 rupee and for 1 year. Did you understand why? Yes, we'll talk about it again, but just a gist, not just a gist, only the formula part is left. Agree? 31. Find the rate if rupees 2 lakh amounts to rupees itna in 1.5 year, interest being compounded half year. Trial and error. Go for trial and error. 1.5 year means you're applying it thrice. 15% will become 7.5% half yearly. Half yearly. No. First answer is wrong. 11%. 5.5. 234848. No. 8%. 4. 224,972.8. 2,24,972.8. No. Last one. 10% becomes 5%. 2,31,525. Exact match. 10%. Yes? Clear? Any doubt? 32. A sum of money yields at compound interest rupees 200 and rupees 220 at the end of first year and second year respectively. The rate, how should we do it? The difference is how much? 20. And this difference is because the interest is calculated on 200 also. 20 by 200 into 100. 10%. Any doubt? 33. What annual rate of interest compounded annually doubles an investment in 7 years? We just calculated. Same sum. So they have given us this value. Yes. So I don't think we'll use it, but still from here you can see the answer will be what 40.9. That's 10.40, so that's 10.41%. Or for us, it's 72 by r equal to 7. 10.28 आ रहा है, वो तो D के रिजेंबल कर रहा है. Let's try. If it's formula, amount is twice P, principal is P. Yes? हाँ ना? In 7 years. So 7 hour. हाँ, PP क्या? कोई भी पावर एक साइड से दूसरी साइड जाता है तो क्या हो जाता है? रेसिप्रोकल हो जाता है. This value is given to us. 1 माइनस करोगे तो 0.10409 r/100 होता है ना. तो 10.409, 10.41. At what rate percent compound interest does the sum of money become fourfold in 2 years? Answer. 4 गुना करना है. ट्रायल एंड एरर कर लो. 100 रुपया ले लिया. 150% के हिसाब से 2 साल में कितना होना चाहिए? 400 रुपया. 4 फोल्ड का मतलब तो 400 ही होता है. तो प्रिंसिपल 100 है, अमाउंट 400 चाहिए, टाइम 2 साल है. कुछ नहीं बोला तो एनुअल है. देखो कौन सा रेट सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है. फर्स्ट वन गिव्स यू 625. सुनो, फॉर 100. सेकेंड वन दे रहा है. क्या है फॉर्मूला? 1 + r/100 टू द पावर 2 इंटू 100. 100/100 तो 1 हो रहा है. पूरा सुंदर से 400 आ रहा है. समझ आ गया? 35. What is the annual rate of interest compounded annually which doubles an investment in 2 years? यहाँ पे भी गिवन है तो वैसे यूज करता है. डबल्स एन इन्वेस्टमेंट मतलब अगर 100 रुपया लगाया है तो 100 कितना हो गया? 200 हो गया. 1 + r/100 टू द पावर 2. 2 उधर जाएगा तो रूट ओवर हो जाएगा. सो 1.414235 -1 इंटू 100 कितना आ रहा है? 41.4213. हाँ ना. बेसिकली जो वैल्यू दिया उसमें -1 इंटू 100 करना. यही अगर क्वार्टरली है तो फिर इंटू 2 इंटू 4 भी होगा. 36. इन हाउ मेनी इयर्स विल कुछ गिवन नहीं है तो हम लोग अपना फॉर्मूला लगाएगा. 72/r. 72/5. 14.4. So it's 14 years. 0.4 into 12. 5 months, no? 5 months. So nearest 14 years, 3 months. हाँ ना. बट एक्चुअली ये है नहीं इसमें. ये आपकी बुक में भी है सेम सा. अगर डबल करना है, यहाँ पे अगर 200 है तो यहाँ पे कितना है? 100. 1.05 टू द पावर 2. 0 और 0 गया. √2 हो जाएगा. कैलकुलेट √2. 1.414. हाँ ना. -1. ओ सॉरी, यहाँ पे तो n है, ये भी नहीं है. Okay, this is also there in your book. The actual answer is 14 years and 2 months because 2 months, 3 months is close. The actual, if I take logarithm, वो पूरा लंबा वाला अगर मेथड करता है तो आपको दिखेगा ये 14 years and 2 months है पूरा लॉग. क्योंकि हम लोग को क्या चाहिए? डबल करना है. टाइम ड्यूरेशन तो हमें पता ही नहीं. हाँ या ना. तो ये √2 तो होगा नहीं, ये तो 2 ही रहेगा। तो ये एक्चुअल लॉग एंटी लॉग का सम है, जब आप करेगा तो 14 ईयर्स 2 मंथ्स आएगा। लर्न कर, कॉपी में, ये आपके बुक में भी, ऐसे के मॉडल में भी। द एक्चुअल आंसर कैन ओनली बी ऑब्टेन थ्रू लॉग एंटी लॉग, ट्रायल एंड एरर से नहीं निकले। तो क्या पावर में डेसिमल कैसे चढ़ाएगा? डन। 37। Again, this is very close. 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, you'll never get the exact answer. Never. It's only log anti-log. Let's try. Triple is 114 by R. हाफ ईयरली है तो 2.5 हो जाएगा। 45.6 इंस्टॉलमेंट, तो नंबर ऑफ इयर्स क्या होगा? आधा हो जाएगा। डन। 38। In what time will rupees 8,000 amount to 8820 at 5% interest compounded half yearly? Amount है 8820, principal 8,000, 1.05 raised to the power twice ना. Let's go for trial and error. We can calculate for compound 1.025. What I want is 1.1025. Let's try. Anyone? कौन सा आंसर है? एंड ए बी और डी से तो तुम लोग निकाल ही नहीं सकता। सी आंसर, जस्ट अ गेस, अदरवाइज वी कांट फाइंड। हम लोग डेसिमल पावर्स नहीं निकाल सकता अगर गिवन, नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर अस। डन। 39। See what we can find out for A, B, and C, whichever is the closest. Yes, first, in this case, I guess we can find out for all. Year N will be semi-annually, so 2. Year N will be 3. Year N will be 4. 3/4, so I can't find. So find out for A, B, and C, whichever is closest. 1.05. B, we're getting the exact same value for B. Calculate. 1.5 साल है तो 3 इंस्टॉलमेंट हुआ, रेट 5% बन जाएगा। कंपाउंडिंग वैल्यू 1.05। ट्रायल एंड एरर करो, 2 बार इंटू किया 1.05 इंटू 16,000 किया तो 17,640 आता है। 3 बार कर दिया उसी में तो एग्जैक्ट 18,522 आ रहा है पूरा। आया, आ गया। द लास्ट सम 40। In what time will compound interest on rupees 320 at 12.5% per annum annually be rupees 85? Right. First try for these two, ना? It's easier. मेरे हिसाब से आया ना. For 2.5 and for 4.5 तो हम लोग कैलकुलेट ही नहीं कर सकता. इन दिस केस 4.5 and 2.5 तो पॉसिबल है. मैं सिखाऊंगी कैसे. पहले बाकी दोनों से ट्राई कर लेते हैं. अगर एग्जैक्ट आ ही गया तो 12.5 डिवाइडेड बाय 100 प्लस 1 2 साल इंटू 320 2 साल से एग्जैक्ट आ रहा है. 1 plus 12.5 by 100 to the power 2 minus 1 into 320 एग्जैक्ट 85 आ ही रहा है. मेहनत ही नहीं हुआ. जस्ट इन केस 4.5 के लिए कैलकुलेट करना पड़ता तो मैं पहले 4 के लिए करती और फिर इसका एक बार रूट ओवर और निकलूंगी. हाँ, टू द पावर 4.5 चाहिए होता ना. 4.5 4.5 है. 4 साल के लिए अलग से कैलकुलेट कर लिया. आधा साल के लिए रूट ओवर का वैल्यू अलग से कैलकुलेट कर लिया. ठीक है क्या? समझ आ गया? So that's compound interest for us. In our next class, we'll start with first effective rate, जो भी समझाया था, and then the final portion, or the final portion is the lengthier one, and you will see you next class.